Good afternoon, everybody. Sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll. From Cape Cod to Cancun, from Tampa to Taipei, from Vegas to the Vatican, we got you covered from start to finish. And today, what a day we have. Fridays, one of my favorite days of the week, not just because it is Friday and the weekend is here, but we get to spend 30 minutes with Andrew Mcinnis, amazing NHL, Canadian football, you name it. The knowledge is endless, and we are gifted and blessed to have him every Friday. So without further ado, Andrew, how are you, my brother?
What's up? What's up? Who doesn't love a Friday? It's great to see you as well, Jeff. I love doing this show with you, but I'll reiterate the same comments. I mean, it's fun doing these shows on a Friday. We're all feeling good. We're all looking forward to the weekend, and we're just going to kick back and talk some sports and hopefully find some winners.
Tis the season. I talked about it last week. I mean, you know, there's not an hour in the day where you're not, for us, we're not looking at whether it's a goalie scratch, Zach Ertz traded to the Cardinals, you know, Houston, Boston, game one. Last night, I mean, epic 9-inning battle. Two teams that won over 107 games. One's moving on, one's golfing today. Hockey, I have to be honest. I'm 0-2 this year in hockey. I took your Canucks game one team total over 3. And I'd say it was 2.5. We got to OT. We lose in the shootout there. And then last night, I got a little too cute. We did a puck line with the Panthers, minus a goal and a half, up 2-0. Then they fell asleep down 4-2. They win 5-4 in overtime. Both nights, opening night, I left the Ducks on the table. And yesterday, the number said that Seattle would get their first win, and they did. So give us what you've seen so far in the pucks and how you're feeling.
I'll be honest, I'm happy to be just about break even, you know, maybe a little bit less right now. And that's, you know, the good news is that a lot of the leans that I've had that I didn't play have looked pretty good. And, you know, I think I was talking with you about it before. Back in the day, well, even like 3-4 years ago, I used to hate that. I used to hate the fact that I liked to pick a little bit, but didn't give it out or release it or bet it myself. But then you start to realize, you know, it's good. Even though you didn't release it or you didn't bet it, you saw the board the right way. You predicted that game the right way. And that's kind of what it's been like for me so far. But let's be honest, Jeff, favorites haven't really been too successful. Road teams haven't been too successful. And teams playing their home openers have been successful. So, you know, treading lightly out to start, I think, has been a good idea for anybody doing that so far. But it's really just shown us that the law of averages will pan out. You know, teams that are going to win against certain teams, it'll happen later on in the season. Will Anaheim beat the Jets again this year 4-1? Probably not. But it's bound to happen. Some underdogs are going to make some money for their backers. It's just a matter of jumping on them at the right time. And tonight, I think the underdog train continues, man. I'm hopping on board. The Underdog Express tonight. I think that we have two underdogs, two road dogs that I think could still get the job done.
I'm so glad you brought up what I call as the desk plays, because when we're going, we like to use a spaghetti strainer. You know, we try to give out 1 to 3 games a day. Some days we'll take a day off. Obviously, the Saturdays with the bigger slates, we tend to give out more throughout the day and night. Now, the funny thing is when I reach out and we release 2 plays, and then I say, hey, I got 3 desk plays. And then the next night I say, hey, those desk plays went 3-0. And the next day they went 2-0. Then everyone wants the desk plays. And then you know what happens. They crash, and so I am so glad you brought that up, because that's the hardest part in this business is listen, your eyes, you're seeing the right thing. They're just not there to give them out. Mm-hmm. When it comes to you releasing those games, is there any trick to it, or is it all just gut?
Well, I mean, like, I need a team that I can trust. You know, I need something to be proven. So last night with the Kings and the Golden Knights, I think the Kings are going to be a huge over team this year. And we saw how big of favorites even the Golden Knights were last night. I tweet out, 10 minutes before puck drop, small light action for me on the over, didn't make the client card. What happens? Game goes over, was pretty sweat free. That's just what happens. And like I said, like a lot of us that do this for a living, we'd be pissed because we just, didn't release it, didn't do much content about it, just kind of gave it like a 10-second tweet. It's all it took me to do that. But, I think you have to go with what really sticks out to you. I did a video. We were just doing our hockey video earlier, Jeff, and I actually just tweeted. Everybody can check me out on Twitter, this video, and pretty much just talked about like protecting your bankroll. And I know that you talk about that quite a bit as well, especially early on in the hockey season. And last year in our Wager Talk hockey group chat, we had a little debate whether or not it's better if you eat the juice, bet these big favorites, or if you bet the regulations, you bet the team totals, you bet the puck lines. What's going to be more profitable for you? And I think you have to pick your spots. And I'm not here to look down upon anybody that bets big favorites or anything, because I know people that have had success doing it. Because let's be honest, there actually have been some proven stats where NHL teams that are favored by over minus 210 have a strong enough win clip that it's, it makes sense to bet that. However, last night with the Florida Panthers, they lose the game. Like you talked about, they went to overtime. The regulation price was minus 120. I think the money line was around minus 170, 75-ish. So if you bet the money line, you're feeling good about yourself. But long term, if that happens again and they lose, you're down 1.7 units. I just don't think it's a long-term strategy to do that. So when I'm breaking down my card and trying to find these little spots, it's this year out the gate, it's going to be all about value, Jeff. All about value. Yesterday with the Columbus Blue Jackets, I really liked them, but I would never have taken that on the money line because it's just I like them to win 100%, but I took the regulation. I wish I took the puck line with how much they won by, but it's just about protecting your bankroll because it could be 7 days into the NHL season, somebody could be hitting 50% winners and be down 20 units just based off prices they're laying.
And you bring up the Florida game, the Panther game, which opened at 126. There was an overnight correction. Okay. So again, 170, 175. I think it closed at 176. You'll see a lot of people on social media, they'll try to get creative. You talked about the regulation. The other one that I see a lot on Twitter is the -1 goal. And right. So basically, for us, we love the Panthers. We couldn't give out the 176. How do we get involved? We took the puck line plus 146.
Good price.
It looked like geniuses at 2-0. Then 2-2. I'm like, okay, we're okay. And then there was a 30-second brain fart. Now they're down 4-2. And we needed a miracle, and it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
So there's so many options in hockey or in any sporting event nowadays that, again, protecting the bankroll is the most important thing that I think anyone can realize, that if you're in this for the long term, that is the key.
Yeah. And the power of road trips, we obviously are only at the start of the season, but I'm a huge situational guy. I look at road trips, home stands. Chicago is a perfect example tonight of a situational spot. I mean, after they allowed 3 straight goals in the first 10 minutes of the game, they actually looked pretty sharp against Colorado the rest of the game. They looked like they got their act together. They've got a pretty good veteran core. Jonathan Toews is back at captain. You need to look at certain spots. And tonight, I might as well segue into it. I think that I'm looking towards the road dog tonight. This is an opportunity, I think, for us to look at a New Jersey Devils team that has some talent. They've got some young players. They've got a decent blue line from younger players that can stretch the ice, jump up into the rush. But you got to look at the motivational spots. And I don't like to bet road favorites too often, but I'll happily look at some road dogs, Jeff. And I think it's a pretty good road dog tonight with the Chicago Blackhawks. And yeah, I mean, you summarized it perfectly. My biggest goal I've set for myself for the first week and a half And I want to make it very clear. The old Andrew, Jeff, before you and I met each other, would be upset right now because last night, like I said, I'm about break even or a little bit below. Full transparency with clients right now, right? If I gave out every single play that I liked yesterday, it actually would have been a pretty good day. The over in the Panthers game, the Knights game over. 2 days ago, I liked Washington against New York, didn't release it. But we can't live like that. We have to live with the ones that we really liked, the ones that got us to the window. And in hindsight 2020 with the Chicago team, everyone's going to say they got absolutely pummeled by Colorado. I look at it like this. After the first 10, 12 minutes, they looked okay. And I think you and I can both agree. New Jersey are not Colorado.
And I bring up social media and Twitter. I'm not going to bring up any names, but we're 3-4 days into the NHL hockey season. A bad start, 1-9 for some people out there, and then they're giving out 6 plays last night, and then they add 2 more. Then they got this in game, and it's the quicksand. And I talk about this so much, especially on NFL Sundays. It's like you're never going to get out of that. So you got to pick your spots, protect your bankroll. Hey, and if you get off to that slow start, just chip away. If you're not in this till make it through the playoffs and the Stanley Cup, you're in the wrong business, and you're preaching it perfectly. So tonight's card here, bringing up Wager Talk odds. Amazing job what you guys do here. One-stop shopping. I always say this. There's nothing you guys don't have here. 3 games on the board, Andrew. You've been talking about Chicago. Take it from there, and about the Blackhawks and what else you see tonight.
Yeah, well, New Jersey, they've got some young players. Nico Hischier, they've got Hughes. They drafted Hughes' brother. I think he'll be up in the system in a couple years from now. I like their blue line. They've got a lot of active players, a lot of guys that like to jump into the rush. But I'll put it this way: if you like New Jersey tonight, for everybody out there listening, take the over. If you like Chicago, play them on that nice underdog money, even if it's just plus 110 with 15 or whatever it might be. Because again, I'm not laying minus 130 with the Devils. I don't care it's their home opener. I don't care that home favorites have looked pretty good so far this year. I'm not willing to risk 1.3 units on a New Jersey team against a veteran-based Chicago team that had a really, really bad start. I would potentially even look for a money line Chicago first period here. That's how much I think they got embarrassed in game number 1. And that's what's interesting, because if Chicago, let's say they were off a win against Colorado, let's say they upset Colorado in game 1. You're not hearing me say the exact same things today about betting them plus 110. It's a complete situational bounce back. Some might call it overreacting. I'm calling it this is handicapping with my eyes, looking at what I saw from them and the ability to bounce back in game. Montreal, they had a bad start to their game and they never recovered for a minute. But I look at a Chicago team after the first period, they recovered, they looked a lot better, and I feel like they have it in them. So we're seeing Kevin Lankinen in nets tonight for Chicago. It has nothing to do with Fleury's performance, but he will play tomorrow against his old team, the Pittsburgh Penguins. So that's one thing I like. Of course, Chicago on the money line, lean towards the over slightly, but I'm curious to kind of see Bernier versus Lankinen. I haven't really obviously seen them yet this year, and I want to see how they play before I jump into the totals in that game. Vancouver, Philadelphia, it's kind of the same thing. I'm sounding like Mr. Underdog today, but I'm not willing to put minus 150 of my money on this Philadelphia Flyers team. But again, it's a home team. It's a home opener. And I'll be honest, Jeff, you've seen it. And a lot of those guys that are tweeting out that they're 1 whatever or 0 whatever, it's because they're betting a lot of money on these road favorites, and betting against these teams with their home openers. But Philadelphia, after their top line, and I know you're a hockey guy, after their top line, I'm not too impressed. That's what I'll say about Philadelphia. They were an over team last year. I like Vancouver. I stayed off them in game 1 against Edmonton because I do have Edmonton above them. I took the under in that game. I think Vancouver will be better defensively this year. But I like Vancouver here, and it's actually a pretty good underdog number. And I think a lot of it has to do with last year. People are saying about them. That's why the odds makers are doing this. But they played 19 games in 30 something days. It's going to be a different team this year.
So I'm going to bring up the third game, Minnesota at Anaheim. The Ducks shocked the world opening night, 4-1 win over Winnipeg. Now they're still back at home. Minnesota comes into town, opens up at minus 165, now up to 171. Again, thoughts there? I mean, I assume Vegas and most of the general public's assuming Ducks are going to be one of the worst teams in the NHL. In comes Minnesota. Are they worthy of that price? Secondly, there's no way I could give out a 165, 171 number. If we were to go down this street, again, I would be looking at the puck line, something to that effect. Any thoughts on how this game will progress, Andrew?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'd love to be able to sit here and make fun of Anaheim, but we can't. It's hard to make fun of them right now. That was a great first game for them. They were impressive. They had a good one. They played good defensively. They looked confident. But I'm going to say the same thing I say about Anaheim every year. What are they without John Gibson, Jeff? What are they without their goaltender back there? They've got big defensemen. And look, people say the exact same thing about the Canadians to me. But I think Canadians have a little more talent than that. But if I'm betting this game and I'm looking at Minnesota, to our earlier conversation and the point that you just made, I'm looking at a team total. 2.5 is like minus 145, so that's a little bit risky, a little bit cheap, or pricey, excuse me. 3.5 is plus 150. Most shops should have alternative team totals. 3.5 is plus 150. So if you think about it, you're getting a Minnesota Wild team. Let's look at it here, around minus 160, 170. And if you shop around, you can look at these different prices. But you can get the team total over 3.5 at a really solid price there. So that's kind of where I'd look. I think if Anaheim loses the game, they're going to lose it by a couple goals. I want to take a look out of this page here. And this is a book that I don't mind laying prices on. So excuse my chalk here, Jeff. Shots on goal here. Kirill Kaprizov. He's minus 160 to go over 2.5 shots on goal. I bet that last night. Trevor Zegras, over 1.5 shots on goal. That's minus 150. Those guys, even Matt Zuccarello, he's over 1.5 shots, minus 125. I think that's one of the better bets of the night. Looking at Matt Zuccarello, a guy on the top line with Kaprizov. Kaprizov is, like I said, over 2.5, minus 170 live odds. But you can get his partner and line mate over 1.5 shots at minus 125. And if you shop around and look at the right books, you can look at team shots on goal or goaltender saves. Those don't come out until later on in the night. But I'm not sure if you ever bet hockey props, Jeff, but want to open up the eyes to your viewing audience with those, because you can make some good money with it. Last night, I had the Habs as a wager, but I also had Cole Caulfield over 2.5 shots, and that came through. So when you look at some of these bets, even though my Canadians wager lost, Cole Caulfield got 3 shots in the night minimally. So you're able to recoup some of your loss on the money line wager. And those are just some ways to kind of, find a way to make some money without taking a team on the money line. And I'll preface it with saying this. When I'm betting on these shots on goal props and I'm looking and I'm willing to bet minus 150s, like Trevor Zegras tonight, I'm betting, there's a reason why I'm comfortable doing that. And it's because I'm not betting several in one night. I've told you this before with the CFL. If I'm betting 6, 7, 8, 9, team player shots on goal tonight, there's not a chance that I would be betting these high prices. But if every day I want to pick one or two that's in the minus 140, 150 range, I'm comfortable with it. Cole Caulfield was minus 130 last night. He got there. What are your thoughts on those? Do you ever bet these NHL props?
To be honest, I've dabbled, and that was going to be my leading question to you, to the viewers, to the newbies diving into hockey. I know each sports book is different. Can you give some people some lead-ins where they can go, maybe to shop around these numbers, or maybe where they can go and get some information on, to better help themselves moving forward on, certain props, or like NHL props, for instance?
I know FanDuel's pretty good with them.
Okay.
I'm using in Canada, we can access Pinnacle, Sports Interaction, Bet365. I know that I think Caesars and BetMGM, they have some of that stuff more and more. But I really like the team shots one collectively, because that way you're not really worried about just one player. And something that I've kind of, tried to make a reputation for in the NFL with props is trying to find a way to make money on these games that are supposed to be blowouts. You see a team that's like minus, 14, right, in the NFL, or minus 10. You might not want to lay the number, but how can you bet on the bad team, or how can you bet in that game? I'll tell you, tonight, Minnesota is going to get a lot of shots. Whether or not they win this game, whether or not they cover the puck line, whether or not they win this game in regulation, I'll guarantee you they get at least over 30 shots. I would, if somebody wanted to bet me under that, I'll book them right now, because I think Minnesota is going to pepper them with shots, and that's a prop that I'm willing to take. And also, I will say this: if you're looking at betting anytime goal scorers, not to get too cute and fancy, but it's never going to get better as far as the odds go. It's only going to get worse. So if you're betting on a player to score a goal, and you like him at the start of the season, and he starts scoring goals, that number is not going to get better. It's going to only get worse. So if you like a player that might not be as popular, like Trevor Zegras plus 330 tonight, if he starts scoring some goals and having a good rookie campaign, that number won't be plus 330 for long.
Now, do you let's say you release 2 hockey games today, the 2 dogs that you talked about. For 1 unit each. On your prop bets, are you doing full units? You doing half units, quarters, or is it each one's different?
I'm happy you asked that, because what I'm really excited about at Wager Talk, we just over the past 2 weeks have implemented quarter units and half units. So I'm really happy you asked that, because that's made me more interested in playing these props. For example, last night I had Columbus as a 4% 4 unit. In regulation, Montreal 3 unit, and then I had a scatter of props at quarter units, half units, so it was actually a wash for me in the Canadiens game. So it's a good example. I had two goal scorers. I had Anderson to score a goal and Suzuki to score a goal at pretty big plus money. Neither of them scored. Those were 2 quarter unit bets. The Cole Caulfield shot prop was a 0.5 unit bet. So that was pretty much a wash, because the quarter unit bets were both plus money, and Caulfield was minus 130. So, I'm not saying the props will never be at 2 or 3% for me, because they have been before, but in large part, they're going to be half or quarter unit.
NFL this weekend. Interesting board. First week with a couple buys. Last night, people are saying the Eagles knew the spread, and they just, for some reason go for 2, and they get there. And then, of course, Tom takes the knee, and he loses his Russian prop, by the way. I think his Russian prop was what?
It's 1.5.
1.5. He was at 3, takes 2 kneels. And if you watch the kneels, right, the first 2, he takes steps back. On the third one, he took a step forward, almost to tell you guys, hey, I know what the Russian prop was as well. You ain't getting there.
Yeah. That cracks me up. Those always kill me, the quarterback rushing, because like you said, you take that knee, it's tough for people, and you're winning that the whole game, and then that's what kills you. Let's talk about Seattle Pittsburgh. That's a big game, the primetime game. I have, speaking of props, we were jumping in with some NHL props. I'm looking at Tyler Lockett over on his receiving yards. This is a guy that I think Geno Smith's going to be going to quite a bit. I think that he's going to be a big target. I think that when I look at NFL props, and I look at teams that have a backup quarterback in, you want to look at comfortability. You want to find somebody that you can count on. And that's why I think that it was obviously both quarterbacks in, but we saw 10 targets, and Lockett actually didn't catch that many of them, only 4, I believe. but his number is 57.5 receiving yards. That's one play I'm looking at for that game. I'm staying away from the side. I'm looking at some stuff for Seattle. I think that this is a game where people are going to be fading the crap out of them, even though it's Pittsburgh on the other side. And I'm going to find some profitable props for Seattle, on the underdog. Maybe not to cover the spread, but somebody has to catch these balls. There's not going to be there's not going to be nobody catching the ball all game. And I think Tyler Lockett will be a reliable receiver. So that's one play I like, and it's a prop. But we can talk about any game you want. But that's one prop I really like for this weekend.
Looking at this card this week, I smell rat in a couple of these games, and following social media, Twitter, following a lot of people that I highly respect. And you brought up the Seattle-Pittsburgh game. Pittsburgh, after week one, has been dogs. They've been horrendous. And now Seattle comes in without Russell Wilson, and they throw up that 5 number. I mean, if you do the quick math here, it almost sets up. It looks like they're baiting you for that old, 24-20 game, right here on that game. Kind of fading away from that game. I love the prop idea there with Lockett. But the two traps that I think, Cincinnati, Detroit, incomes. I love Cincinnati. They've been very profitable for us this year. Favorites on the road, and it's 3 and a hook. And you look at Detroit, a team that had the Ravens beat, and Tucker hits a 66-yarder for the win there. And then just last week, they played their hearts out. They had the game won, and then in comes Joseph from 55, he was Jan Stenero and would have hit it from 70, and they closed that deal. So I think, I hate to say it, but I think that the Bengals are a trap this week, and I'm going to go here. And you know how I feel about the Patriots. In comes this Dallas team, 5-0 against the spread, 4-1 straight up, averaging 40 points a game. The Patriots, 2-3, just barely beat the Texans, weren't supposed to, and Dallas is only 3.5-point favorites, and it just smells like rat to me. And the Pats played amazing against the Bucs. They covered that game. And I think people are looking at this game the wrong way. The Patriots are 1 win away from being 3-3. And this is usually when Bill starts putting stuff together. Yes. Can they go in and score 40? And, can Mac go and outduel Dak? Hell no. But if this gets a trenches game, if this gets into a grind them out, keep away game, Dallas a couple of years ago went into New York Jets, winless at that time, 7.5-point favorites, and the Jets won. I just smell rat there. So the two games that I think the Pats at 3 and a hook and the Lions at 3 and a hook are the two that I am currently leaning. Anything stick out to you?
I like where you're going. No argument there. Can't talk you off any of those. I like that. Home team especially. I'm a big proponent of home advantage. I don't think it's as big as some people make it out to be, but you have to recognize it in certain spots, and that's a factor. And I agree with you about Bill. Are there some plays they like to have back? Are there some games they maybe would have liked to have made some different play calls? Sure. They could have beat Tampa, or should I say Tampa? But hey, they competed in that game, and I think it'll be a great game, Dallas, New England. I'm looking at Mac Jones actually over completions, over 25.5 completions. The prop I already locked in. They've actually been a team that's thrown the ball quite a bit. Top 5 in the league for the most part. I think top 6 or 7 right now. Pass attempts per game. It's going to be a dink and dunk type game for Mac Jones and the Patriots. They're not going to throw long. He does not have, I think his longest completion is like 26 yards or something like that. He doesn't throw far. He throws short passes, and that really helps me with the completion prop, possession-wise. I want to say Arizona, Cleveland. I like Cleveland, and this is a team that I was wrong about last week against the Chargers, but man, oh man, that was a good game. That was like a college football game, trading scores with the Chargers. I think that the difference in this game is going to be the run game. They're going to control the clock. They're going to control possession. They play strongly at home. The only thing standing in front of this team is a Baker interception. If he can hold it together and make smart plays, the play calling can be smooth. I feel like Arizona, it's a buy. It's a sell point for them for me. I know people that love Arizona right now. Absolutely love them. They've got talent. They've got it all. They've got a mobile quarterback. But let's not forget. I mean, look what's happening with the Chiefs right now. What people are figuring them out. They're starting to realize what they do. One thing about the Cardinals is they have plenty of options, but I just don't think that they'll be able to to withstand their defense being out there as long as it's going to have to be out there with Cleveland, because Cleveland has that great mix of a run game and a passing game. So that's my play I'll give out here today. I think Cleveland gets it done, covers the number, and it shocks the world. It seems like a lot of money is coming in on Arizona.
I absolutely love Cleveland. I was hoping that on the Circa Millions, we got it at 2.5. Of course, they got to throw the 3 at us. And I think anyone listening here want to go and grab a future. I believe this Cleveland team is built for the long haul. I am sticking behind this. They got the ground and pound, whatever you want to call it, thunder and lightning. Chubb and Hunt is just an amazing duo back there. They have weapons. They have OBJ. And Njoku had a huge game last week. Landry's getting closer to come back. Their defense is phenomenal. They got the bookends there with Garrett and Clowney. And again, if I was the coach, I am basically saying as the season progresses, the weather gets colder, I am going to have Baker throw it between 17 and 21 times a game. I am going to pound the crap out of the ball, and I'm going to let my defense win the game.
Yes, right there with you. It'll be a big test. And I'll say this right now. I'll admit that I'm wrong about this Cardinals team if they somehow win in blowout fashion again, or if they dominate Cleveland. I'll admit that I'm wrong about them. But I look at some of these Cleveland games, and I think they could also be an undefeated team. They could be close to that, if anything. So there's been a lot of games they competed against. They've had a tough schedule. I'm just like you. I think they're worth a flyer on a future. I think they're a long-term team, and look forward to seeing what they do this weekend.
All right, the stage is yours here. I promised that it's a busy Friday. We wouldn't keep you all day, even though, listen, I could talk for hours here with you. By the way, quick, Saturday was at BU. Saw UConn destroy BU 5-1. It was an amazing game. I look forward to, obviously, maybe you and I get into a BU game and then maybe tiptoe over to the Garden and we'll go catch a Bruins game. But the stage is yours. Tell everyone about your promo this week. Tell them where they can find you and follow you.
Yeah, at McGinnis Picks on Twitter, MCINNIS Picks. Tweeting out all kinds of stuff. You can also check us out at PuckTimeWT, our PuckTime account. All kinds of videos, video clips, promos, free picks, all that good stuff. But every play until Tuesday is just $9 in the NHL. But as we always talk about, better to be involved for the longer haul. AM39 gets you 7 days of action in the NHL on the ice for $39. AM39, and that's what I'm preaching right now. Long term, give me 7 days to prove to you what I can do. If we lose, if we win, you get to see my thoughts, my write-ups, whether it's a big write-up, a short one, some reasons. And most importantly, you will get a play when I release it and not, whenever you purchase it, I guess, so to speak. So get the best of the number, get the best prices, especially with these money line sports. You don't want to be laying more than you have to. So I appreciate you for having me as usual, Jeff. And I'm potentially coming to Mass in the middle of November. I wanted to let you know about that. If we don't link up then, it'll happen in the new year. My girlfriend and I actually are picking up our golden retriever puppy next Thursday.
Awesome.
Super excited to get a dog together. The only thing is, it's going to be hard to leave the little guy. I work from home. She doesn't. But my friends and I are planning on making a trip to Boston to see. It's a crazy weekend. It's Bucks, Celtics, Oilers, Bruins, and Browns and Patriots all in one weekend. So that could be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a boys' weekend dream, man. But we got to figure it out with the puppy. But if I can figure it out, you and I will have lunch or go see a game or do something. But we'll link up.
All right, much appreciated. Wish you the best of luck this weekend, and we will catch up with you next Friday. How's that sound?
Thanks, Jeff.
All right, have a great one. Oh dear. My producer here. I tell you, I need a producer, Andrew. I am going to put this show together. Just a quick FYI, okay? This will be the Three Amigos. I mean, we get all three of us together in one spot here. I think that, Jesus, we won't just take Vegas by storm. I think we would have to create our own market. So, again, Andrew, I know I held you up a ton today. I'm 7 minutes over your 30.
That's okay. That's okay.
We will catch up next week. How's that sound?
Thanks as always for your time, Jeff. I appreciate you.
See you, Andrew.
Hey, Dave.
My brother, I can't believe this Friday. The phone rings. It's Dave Sharapan. I'm like, oh my G, this is gonna be a day, and here you are. I probably still have LAX jet lag or whatever you want to call that from heading over to the Dodger game. You're wearing the Astro stuff here.
Yeah, I got to needle you a little bit. I mean, I wasn't going to show up in the Red Sox stuff. I showed up in the Red Sox stuff last time. I don't want anybody to think we're too regionalized. We got people in Texas too that listen and watch the show, maybe could do the show and things like that. So I had to wear the stuff. I don't want them to win. Who wants the Astros to win, JD? Come on. We know where we want to go for the World Series. Who you want to go to Houston at Minute Maid Park? Or you want to go to Fenway Park? It's not even if you're making prices, it's Fenway minus 500.
Game one, we talked earlier today. It was a Muscora start sale. Let's see what we got out of him. Hey, we'll know if he can't get out of the first inning. He's coming out of the bullpen the next 6 games if there's 7 games here. The series price opened up minus 150. Houston, I thought was light. Okay, now down to 145 in the series. And tonight, I think it was right around 145.
Ticking down a little bit, by the way. Ticking down.
Yeah. Now, you know what I think is going to be – listen, this you could get egg on your face in this, meaning Houston's offense, I thought, like Tampa, they just don't quit. They come. The Sox bullpen, can they duplicate this? I talked to someone last night. I think the 2-3-2 hurts the Red Sox in this regard. The split, okay, if they get a split in Houston, the odds of them sweeping Houston the next 3 games at Fenway, you and I know probably it's not going to happen. So you're going to have to get at least one more game back at Houston. So give us your thought process on the opening price of 150. If you thought that was the right number, would you have had it higher? The McCullers news, just the move now to 145, does that seem okay? And then the 2-3-2. I mean, I know I'm adding to this, but I think that's a disadvantage for the Sox.
And JD, if we're going to do this show, that's like 3 questions all in one. You got to answer me one question. I can't forget what the first part was you said. All right. So as far as the price, I think the price is fair. You have to make Houston favor with home field. The 2-3-2 is interesting. It adds a dynamic to the series that I think you're right. A split isn't good enough if you want to win the series at home, but can you win the series on the road? Hell yeah, you can. If you're the Red Sox, like, what are they worried about? The Red Sox, I don't want to say they're playing on house money because we throw that term around a lot, but they're playing on house money, man. We're a step away. And I think the belief came in the one game against the Yankees, and then they They took down the Rays at their game, the bullpen game. And now the bats are hitting. I mean, game one, Price, how are we hitting lefties? That's what I'm worried about. I mean, Verdugo, a couple big hits, I mean, I'm not worried about Bogarts and J.D. Martinez and the right-handers. We need the left-handers to get a couple hits to win the game. So, and Sale's the X factor. Nobody knows what you're going to get out of Chris Sale, but I'm okay betting on him. I'm okay with what he's done, where he's been, and his ability to get guys out. I'm good with, we got to get him through 5. I think that's the goal, right? And then we hand it over. I mean, you saw it last night with the Dodgers and the Giants. It was a hell of a baseball game, hell of a baseball series. I was at game 4. Just reminded me of how much fun it is, like it was this summer when we sat together at Fenway Park, and got to experience baseball in person. I think you see more, you definitely experience more, and I think it helps watching the games when you're making bets or making numbers. Like all these algorithm guys, model guys, like, I don't watch the games. Well, what are you doing? Like, why not? I would put watching the games as part of the equation as doing the numbers. So I like it, man. I can't wait to watch it. I mean, but the best bet, what's the total on the game right now?
Let's go to it.
Let's see.
Go to it. Baseball, MLB.
8.5.
8 and a hook.
8.5. What's your first impression when you see that number in this game?
Everyone I talked to is talking over, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'll pull it back, and this is comical, Dave. Okay, because you've been back there. Okay, look at the team totals. Houston 4.5, juiced under -130.
Yep.
The Red Sox 3 and a hook over 120.
Right.
All right. So they're telling me they're comfortable. The Astros get to 4, and it's almost like they're throwing you the carrot, saying, "Hey, if you like offense and you like the Sox, why bet the Sox and Sale tonight when that's all you need is 4 runs to cash?"
So, like last night was one of the, I thought, best betting opportunities to bet a game under. Okay. I mean, the book's got to set the total at 7 because, I mean, how much lower can you make it? I remember it wasn't that long ago when we saw 6 in a playoff game. It was there. We're old enough to remember that. We're old enough to remember a lot of stuff, you and I. But, we know the business, and there's been 6s. American League game in Houston with these 2 lineups. I can't believe this number isn't at least 9, if not 9.5. I don't care who's pitching. It's not Eovaldi. It's not McCullers. It's not, not discounting Sale and Valdez. Can they go out in this game, go under and finish 3-2? Yes. Do I think it will? No. I mean, sometimes it does look too easy. Last night, the under looked too easy. It was 2-1. They could have played 14 innings. I don't think anybody was going to score more than, I said 3-2 was the highest it could be. 4-3, it feels like, is the lowest this one could be. I don't know. Just the way I look at it, it feels like an over. Yes, everybody's saying it. Everybody was saying under last night, and everybody was right. Sometimes everybody nails it too.
Here's a crazy thought. Is it an inkling from Vegas that you could get the real Chris Sale?
Oh, I think so. I mean, don't you have to include that in your equation when you handicap this game? Because you've seen guys that have it. When they have a bad one, do they have a second bad one? Usually? No. Not unless something's wrong health-wise. Adjustments are made and they fix whatever it was that was wrong. I mean, he's probably been watching video. He's probably been working in a bullpen, trying to figure out whatever it was where he was leaving balls up and they were flat and getting hit. It's not going to happen again. No, I totally think that is very possible. Sometimes we, as what do I want to say, old school guys, I don't know how to describe you and I, but just some veterans in the business. Sometimes I think we see stuff too that may or may not be there. I don't know. I'm okay with needing Sale. I'm okay with needing the Red Sox in the series if I'm the book, and I'm okay with a split if I'm the Red Sox, whether they get it tonight or they get it on Sunday. I think they're live to win the series.
So if I'm going to turn you into recreational player for this series, do you think that the number dropping, their actual is value now in Houston minus the 145? Or, because at some point that it comes to a number where it's almost like they're getting disrespected here. Now, or the value is in the Sox. Cora, the Magic means, listen, I've lived it. I've breathed it. There's something about this guy, and you know this and I know this. When it comes to baseball this time of year, you don't have to have the highest payroll. You have to have a team that believes, and they believe in themselves, and they have that chemistry.
No question. He's a great manager. He's a great baseball guy. I mean, and it sounds like, just reading and hearing the stories and stuff, he's a pretty good dude. Just, made a bad decision. He's owned up to it. He was pretty happy that his daughters have kind of, as a girl dad as well as I do, you just want to make them proud every day. So I think he's there. I think, man, I gotta tell you, it's very strange that the series price, we used to do this in the book, reflects not, the bettor's eye in what you're thinking. If you like the Red Sox in game one, you should bet them in the series now. If you like the Astros in game one, bet them in the series now. I think this price reflects a split. I don't think you can put it too high and take that Red Sox money and then have the Red Sox win, and now you're stuck as the book. I think the number is just perfect as far as the series price, but I think it's reflective of a split. We know, I believe, Eovaldi is going. Is he going in game two? I think he is.
He's going Saturday. It goes out tonight, tomorrow, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, if necessary.
Okay, so they play back to back. I think this price reflects that the Sox get one. So, I don't know where the value is. I mean, this never-ending search for the value in a number. I don't know where it's at. The value's in if you bet the Red Sox today and they win, you're going to have a valuable ticket because the line's going to drop to pick them. It's going to go to minus 120 or minus 115. Not going to make the Red Sox favored, but it's going to be close. If the Astros win, the price goes from 140, 145-ish right to 175, 180. So take that and put that in your email, sir.
Well, I'm going to add this. I talked. We had to ride the minus 155 series price. I didn't have an out. I talked to you this morning about it.
Yep.
Sometimes, again, that game three, I can't talk about enough. It was supposed to be a split, hand the ball to Max, win game three, and then you're sitting in the catbird seat.
Yep.
We never had that option. So let's play Monday morning quarterback, Dave. You can grab the Sox at plus 135 to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
If it gets back to Houston for game 6 or 7, you're going to have outs.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You got outs.
Oh, no doubt. You will. 100%. There's all kind of bets now available. Like you can just bet that the series is going to go 6 games or 7 games. Like this is not going to be a sweep.
No.
I don't think this is going to be a 5-game series. I think this is going 6 or 7. I want the Red Sox to win. I think they can win. But you know how these things go. There's situations, things happen. I don't know who the pitchers are going to be past tomorrow. So it's really hard to handicap. But, I mean, if you're looking to take a plus, take the plus now and maybe even add to it if they lose game 1 because I really think they're going to win game 2 behind Eovaldi. I just think that I haven't looked at the historical numbers, what he's done against the Astros, but I like the way he pitches against that lineup. I think he's going to be able to keep them from an explosive inning. Is he going to shut them out? Probably not. But can he go 6 2/3 and give up a run or two? Yes, he could. So I can't wait, man. This is October baseball's the best. It's the best.
All right, change gears.
Yes,
go
sir.
over to the National League.
Yes.
Amazing game, amazing.
The National Football League. Are we getting talking circuit picks yet, or did you say National League Baseball?
We got to just dabble in the National League Baseball because the open number is mind blowing.
Crazy.
Listen, hats off to the Giants. An absolute amazing year. He did not swing. We all know that. I'm not even going to go down that road. That was strike three. Tough way to end the year there.
Yeah.
But talk to me about the opening line. Dodgers, Braves home field advantage. Rested. Their three front starters have been pitching as well as anyone. Yet it opens up 185, 190. I'm seeing 210s, 215s. Is that because they know the onslaught was coming and they wanted to protect themselves, or they're just begging for brave money?
Well, I think after the Dodgers dispatched the Giants, they've been the favorite to win the World Series all season. They didn't even win their division, and they've been the betting favorite all along. I mean, them and then the Astros. I mean, and then that we're sitting here with 4 teams left, and the 2 favorites are in it. Now, the Braves were down there, and the Red Sox got down further. I mean, the Red Sox, there's been some odds on those teams. But this series price reflects, I think, some of the books in Vegas saying, you know what, we got enough Dodger money. Let's get some Braves money. Let's. I mean, they've taken 3-1. They've taken plus 275. They've taken plus 250 on the Dodgers for months. If they want to play the Dodgers now, let them lay 210 in this series. And let's see if we can get some Braves money. I mean, the books are in a fantastic position. The Giants were the books' biggest liability in baseball in years. No time does a team 100-1, 80-1, 75-1, 50-1, all the way down the ladder until they were, 6-1 going into the series against the Dodgers. A lot of books were sweating and saying, get these Giants out of here. We don't want to have to sweat this all the way to the World Series. So they're in a very good position now. When the favorites win in the future pool, the books do really well because you're not giving away much odds and you're taking a lot of bets on a lot of teams that don't win. We're surprised by the series price, JD. Our call this morning was quick, but it was like, did you see that price? I'm like, yeah. The Braves can play. The Braves can pitch. Talk about magic in baseball. Who doesn't believe in that Atlanta dugout? Who doesn't believe, period, in that organization? Acuna's been out for months. Oh, yeah, he's like their best player. All right, Freddie, it's on you. And the boys, let's go. Duvall just hitting bombs all the time. It's impressive what the Braves have done, but their run is far from over. The Dodgers are going to have to beat them. The Braves aren't going to just, be like, oh, now we got to beat the Dodgers. They're ready to play. Home field, big plus. I don't know. Seems obvious to me. The only one way to bet that series right now is take the plus.
I agree. And it's almost to the point where, listen, if you take both dogs in the series, you're going to have outs. And if one of the 2 dogs win in the series, you're obviously going to make money. Any which way this thing comes out, LA, Boston, LA, Houston,
Ooh.
Boston, Atlanta. I mean, I guess the one that would be a little unique is Houston, Atlanta. I don't know, but
right.
But the others all have major wow factors. And, we could use a little East meets West again. LA, Boston, beat LA. And we're accustomed to that down here, Dave.
That would be pretty good stuff. That would be, I think, the Major League Baseball executives, everybody would be pretty happy with an East meets West, Red Sox, Dodgers. But again, it's Final Four. They're playing for the pennants. They're playing for the opportunity to go to the World Series. It's all. I just hope the games live up to the billing. Like the games last night lived up to the billing. It was fun every inning. It was something else. I was watching it with Jess and the girls, and off and on, and then even the little one who doesn't really have any real interest in baseball was hanging around watching us watch the game, going, well, who do you think's going to win? And in game, she kept telling me the Dodgers were going to win. So, you can make a lot of bets in game and have fun. I just know that under 7, under 6.5, then under 5.5, then under 4.5. I kept saying the final score of this game is 2-1. So worked out pretty well.
Circa.
Yes.
How they do it, I don't know. Listen, I hit 65% in the first quarter, and I am not even on the first 3 pages. It is what it is. We talk about, listen, it's amazing the contest because the build-up, got to get in there, got to take some swings. And it's amazing. I love the experience. I love going out there. I love seeing you. I love seeing, got to see Maddie Peralt from Pushing the Odds out there, which was amazing. Talk to Brett, the proxies, everyone. And then you get back home and you rattle off a couple 4-1s. You throw in the 3-2, and then you go into the final week of the first quarter and you got no shot. And then you start the second week, you got a couple of hiccups, and there's another guy that's 5-0 to start the second quarter, and he's got 3 losses overall. And I'm just like,
how is this possible? How is this possible?
65%, Dave.
I'm telling you, I've done this contest. I told you I finished in the Westgate back-to-back years. We picked at 62% on the season and 61% on the season. We had 52.5 and 51.5 points out of 85. You do the math. And we didn't hit the money. It was a grind. It was so hard. I was like, I don't know if we're ever going to get this close again. So I know how hard it is. And then when you look up and, you put in the work every day, you look at games, you look at picks, you're doing all the different sports. You know how hard it is to pick it 58%, let alone 68%. What are you talking about? How can you only have 3 losses on the season? It's 25 picks. That's 22-3 for the math people. It's so hard. It is fun, but then it loses its luster. Like the genius of the contest is the quarterly prizes because you get to have a restart, So 10-10 the first quarter, you're like, all right, well, now I got to go 18-2 to have a shot. You just kind of just roll over like, all right, we're going to try that. And you start off with a 2-3, a 3-2, and now the pressure's really on because you can only lose maybe 1 more game the whole next 3 weeks. It's crazy, man.
I looked at this week card. I talked to Andrew. As we were talking, I got breaking news. Nick Chubb is out for the Browns this week.
Wow.
Me. I got Kareem Hunt in all my fantasy teams, so that helps. But
nice.
That's a big hit. But I looked at the card this week, Dave, and tell me if I'm crazy. There was 3 games that stood out to me immediately. And 2 of them make you cringe. And when they make you cringe, you're usually on the right side. The Lions getting 3.5 against the Bengals at home.
Love it. Love it. It's gotta be.
Makes 0 sense. 0 sense.
No, that's and we've been in this business a long time, and people can't wait to come at you when you say certain things like, hey, I see this show before. Give me the Lions plus 3.5. And there's no explanation necessary because at that point, anything that comes out of your mouth, they ain't listed. They're like, what are you talking about? Can't be. I'm telling you, they're either going to lose by a field goal. I think they're going to win the game. How's that?
Patriots plus 3.5.
We have not talked before about any football this week. We talked about baseball and we talked about business and, micro markets and where this whole thing is going. We ain't mentioned no football. The Patriots one, it's so obvious. Isn't that obvious? Like, the Buccaneers just went to New England and was 6.5, and you saw what happened. It's October. You get the Patriots off a terrible performance where they barely win that game against Houston. And Dallas is undefeated against the spread. I said it on the podcast with Carl and Newbie. It can't be this easy. It can't, but it is. The lines makers put it out there. You start to see this come back now, JD. It's pretty much it's 3.5 in a couple places in Vegas, but it's 3 in the islands. And, I know what that means. I mean, they took the 3.5, and then those books are going to sit at 3. Vegas will be there today, probably. They're going to gobble up all those 3.5s. Patriots will probably win the game.
And that's I'm not a homer. You know that. I am not a homer.
Nope.
And I had egg in my face for 20 years, and Bill and Tom we trust, and we hold hands, and we win championships, and that's what they do here. The comical part is we all knew that they'd find a way to cover against the Bucs. They lay an egg in Houston.
I didn't know until Sunday, though. Like, I wanted to believe that Brady was going to come back and win, and I was like, yeah, I mean, the number won't go past 7, and I know why, because that's going to be the point. And then when I saw it, woke up Sunday morning and went to do a show on Sports Grid, and I saw the number bounce back in a couple places already, 6.5. I told everybody that would listen, I was like, Patriots are going to cover. How do you know? I don't know, but I just know. And the same thing I think happening now with that game. It's reached its point and ain't going back up. I mean, I don't know what it's going to take to get back off the 3, but the books have taken their position. It's give us New England in the points.
And the comical part is they laid the egg last week. They shouldn't have won. They played horrendous. They played awful. They found a way to win. They're 2-3. And now, as you said, we're halfway through October. This is when Bill usually starts to get this team to play together. You got a Dallas team, 4-1, okay, outright, 5-0 against the spread, averaging 40 points a game, and against a rookie named Mac Jones that hasn't completed a pass over 27 yards yet this year.
Are they ever going to let him throw a pass over 27 yards? Like, he ain't even looking.
They're waiting for the playoffs, Dave. They're waiting to give the big playbook into the playoffs.
There we go.
So the cover, I think, is going to happen. Don't be shocked if they win this game. The Dallas a few years ago came in high and mighty into New York against the Jets, who I think were winless. 8-point favorites, and the Jets beat them outright. Dallas due for a clunker. Pats win outright, go to 3-3, and I think they got a Jet or they got a bad opponent coming in. So we could be talking next Friday, and the Pats are looking at 4-3 after 7 games.
Wow. They got the Jets next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, New England's already a touchdown favorite against the Jets. And Dallas is on a bye.
Yep.
Our friends at Wager Talk, Ralph Michaels at Cal Sports LV, put out some good stuff with teams off the bye. It's very interesting. You're going to hear a lot on the shows. This is Friday. There's a lot of content being put out, already been discussed, about Dallas being with a bye next week, the team to play on. I'm telling you, I'm with you. I'm just telling you, I just see these games so many times. It's New England or pass. There's no chance on taking Dallas.
The game that I thought was the one that I'm following, and maybe you can talk me off this one. Carolina opened up 1-point favorites.
Yeah.
The opener, the Sharps just destroyed Minnesota. Minnesota went to 1.5, now 2.5.
Yeah.
A Carolina team that started 3-0, and then they got reality against Dallas, and then the Eagles at home. I'm on a Minnesota team that it's kind of a must-win again for them. They've played well. They were snake-bitten at Arizona. Am I on the wrong side there, Dave?
With Minnesota?
Yes.
No. I agree with the play. I agree with the move. I thought Minnesota should have been a 2.5-point favorite to open. Let them bet Carolina. So I understand the line opening with the home team. Like, who is Minnesota? It's a good question. I don't think we know who Minnesota is yet. Who do we think Minnesota is going to be? Is it the team that I don't know, won barely against Detroit? Is it a team that's going to go on the road? We know Kirk Cousins' woes on the road, right? I mean, it's just not good. The game's going under, is it not? Like, it feels like it's an under game. It's 46.5, 45.5. Pretty much, let's see. Yeah, 46s, 45.5. Feels like an under game to me. Feels like a Minnesota win to me. I don't know. I can't talk you off it. I can only say I see the play. Whether it wins or not, again, we know that. We don't. It's Friday. We're not sure about anything. And then Sunday at halftime, we're still really not sure about anything. I said, this is hard. It's tough. I heard you with Andrew before I came on. I couldn't agree with you more with Cleveland. I mean, 3 hard games on the road, a circus game last week. I mean, it was a circus game, 42-41, whatever the score was. I was doing an MLB Network show talking about the Red Sox game, and the game's going on in the background. I'm in the book, can't hear a thing because they're going crazy. Almost, scored over 80 points. Now they get to come home against the darling of the NFC, basically the team that's going to the Super Bowl, according to everybody. Arizona. The Chubb news is big, though. Does that affect your handicap of the game? Because, to be honest, it doesn't affect the line at all.
Well, how does it affect the line? Pinnacle and our friends at Circa, Derek, Matt, have just moved it to 3.5.
Wow. Whew. I mean, it's the side. If there's any indication what the side is, that's the side. So let's go get some Cardinal money. That's what the boys down at Circus. I'm gonna go down there a little bit later. I gotta go see them down there today. That's good. Again, the board has not looked as clear to me, but maybe 1 week like it does to me this week, which scares me. That always scares me. When I see the game and I go, oh, it's New England. Oh, it's Cleveland. Oh, it's definitely Detroit. And I'm like, geez, I got to come up with 2 other games. Okay. They keep betting the crap out of Chicago or out of the Green Bay. Am I going to dive in and take the Bears? Maybe. I don't know. Might be all dogs this week. And it might culminate with the Tennessee Titans on Monday night. How do you bet that one?
I'm so glad you brought that game up, okay? Because Buffalo, opening day, they played a great first half. It wasn't the same team that came out in the second half. Hats off to your Steelers. And ever since then, they have just been crushing and crushing and crushing. Oh. And they just embarrassed Kansas City. They said, hey, by the way, if you want to see us anymore this year, you're coming to our place. And so They made a statement there. Now, short week in Tennessee. I like Tennessee. I mean, but now I'm going to ask you the question. Bucks, 6.5-point favorites. Tom now 0-11 in primetime games. But everyone doesn't want to say that the Super Bowl was an actual primetime game. So they're 0-10 and 0-11 now. They can put up there, you know what.
Right.
Okay. Super Bowl's not a primetime game anymore. As soon as I saw the Titans opened at 5.5, by the way, opened at 5.5. So immediately I thought Bucks Patriots. Okay. They know they're going to get the Bills' money. Are they baiting us to take Tennessee here? It looks like they're welcoming the Bills' money. Because I was going to ask you, I know I'm locked in on 4 games, and I usually have my partner, Scott, pick the 5th game.
Right.
And if he doesn't like a few of the games, we'll go back and forth. I told him I put together an ugly card, and Titans were on there. I mean, listen, if we slept through the game and woke up Tuesday morning, Dave, if I saw Bills 35, Titans 14, I wouldn't be shocked.
Correct.
I also wouldn't be shocked if the Titans won the game outright.
Correct. I mean, when I look at these games like this and try to submit the contest picks, I always try to take a dog that I think can win the game. Tennessee can absolutely win this game. Buffalo has looked fantastic against really bad defenses. I don't know. Tennessee's defense is average at best. I think it's below average. I don't think it's very good at all. So it scares me. And again, the year your Patriots went undefeated in the regular season, I probably picked against them for 8 weeks until I finally said, uncle. All right? Because no one is as good as they look when they're good rolling like that, and no one is as bad except if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars or the New York Jets most of the time. No one's as bad as they are when they look as bad. The extremes. We're all trying to find that part in the middle. So you pick against them, you're wrong. You pick against them, you're wrong. I finally gave up that year against the Patriots and waited till about week 12 when the numbers were just so high that from week 12 to week 16, I think 3-2 or 4-1, whatever it was, they didn't cover but one game, I think, the rest of the way. It's going to get to that point. This is a telltale week for Buffalo. This is a telltale week for Dallas. This is a telltale week for Arizona. And we, as people with industry experience, are picking against all of them because we want to be right. Doesn't mean it's going to win, but there is no way in hell that I would lay the points with Buffalo. And like you said, wake up, sleep through the game, 35-14, 35-17, done. Just like they did to Kansas City. I thought they were going to go to Kansas City and have the Arrowhead Field, Arrowhead Stadium, and the weather that was going to be a factor was all going to hurt them. They owned it. I don't think they're going to own Derrick Henry. They're going to run the ball. It's just a matter of who's going to get the ball last and win the game. Give me 5.5 points. I'll take my chances. It's Tennessee.
Is there one game you talked about Chicago? We just talked about Tennessee. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna throw this out to you. You should have a better feel on this. We're missing the Russell Wilson Big Ben showdown.
Yeah.
Sunday night.
Yes, we are.
I think I'll be watching baseball anyways if if there's a game on.
Right.
But the intriguing part, listen, Pittsburgh has looked like what since week one. Ben can't throw it over 20 yards without a hook and lateral now.
Correct.
He loses Juju. You only can run and pass to Najee Harris so many times.
Yep.
The season's on the line. No Russell Wilson. And you guys behind the desk are so nice and threw up a 3.5.
Yeah.
Now pushed to 5, some 5.5 with Geno Smith. Okay.
Yep.
Everyone I'm listening to, talking to, hearing, they love Seattle. I just talk to me about this game.
So when I look at this and I go, oh, it's Geno Smith. Wow. I got to bet Geno Smith. I got to bet Geno Smith. I think I got to bet Geno Smith, and then I got on Twitter this morning and I saw somebody posted a win or lose Sunday Night Football thing. Pick the winner. And Seattle picking the winner. No, not plus the 5. Picking the winner was about a 55% choice to 45%. And I screamed, is this the public dog? Is this because if it sounds like a public dog, walks like a public dog, smells like a public dog, it usually barks like a public dog when the game starts and finishes. My first reaction was, wow, I thought this line should be 3.5. And then watched it walk up and walk up and walk up. And I think the books are trying to find that number. They don't want to give away the decision. and they're okay needing Seattle in a game that Seattle can't stop anybody. Their defense is bad. Gino gets the whole week of preparation. He's a veteran. Problem is he turns the ball over. He turns the ball over too much. If he turns the ball over too much, the Steelers win this by 10, no problem. I have a feeling the way the Steelers' inability to run the ball, so whether they get a lead, they can't really protect it with long drives and, the way they used to do it, where they hand Bettis the ball, first down, second down, third down, the clock keeps running. It's 4 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards, first down, 4 yards, play action, 6, first down. And they have a 6-minute drive and kick a field goal, and they're up and they're going to cover. They don't do that well. So that's what scares me. I mean, I'm not crazy about the game, but if you're looking for a fifth, I don't know if taking Seattle is going to get there, but I wouldn't lay the points with the Steelers. No way.
The weekend's here. We could talk for days upon days.
Yes.
Give us a closing thought. Give us Dave Sharapan in a nutshell this weekend. In other words, you're not going back out to LA because the Dodgers are in Atlanta. So we know that.
Thank goodness. Yes.
I don't think you're flying out to Houston.
No,
Sunday,
definitely not doing that.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I heard there's a baseball game in Fenway. I'm just saying. Nice live remote show there would be great.
Wow, would that be all right? Man, that would be good.
Where are your eyes? Where are you in Vegas? There is so much going on, Dave. What can social media and Twitter, where are we going to be seeing you? High above courtside, swimming pool. Where's Dave going to be this weekend?
Not sure yet, but I know this. This hockey stuff has started, right? And I know from your daily, text, email, things like that. I'll be interested in a little bit of hockey in between the college football. I think there's some college football games where we're going to see who teams are. We're going to find out a little bit about Kentucky this week, in a game that's a basic math problem, JD. We got a 23-point spread to 46-point total. I don't remember seeing too many of those. So we're gonna see that. There's a couple other college football games that I think are interesting. I'll be out and about. The plan anyway is to I got to stop these. Somehow you got to block these robocallers. They just don't stop. They don't stop. Make me so angry. No, so I'll be watching football a little bit Saturday, waiting for the baseball game to start. When the baseball's on, I'm all in. I'm sitting watching the baseball. Ideally, either looking to make an in-play wager or just tweeting about it, something like that. And the softball team, the 16U has a tournament this weekend in Mesquite. So I may go up and help coach. The coach said he has it, but if he doesn't, I don't know. And then Sunday, Kylie Big-Sig, my driver all the way to LA, has a double header against Southern Utah University that if the weather's going to cooperate, it's about a 2 to 2.5 hour drive. I'm going to go sit and watch my kid hopefully pitch one of the games and play outfield in another game and watch some softball on the field while I'm sitting watching the scores and all the other stuff right on the phone. And when they asked, did you see that? I said, oh, yeah, I saw that. Meanwhile, I'm watching to see what happens in the early games. It's crazy, JD, but is it me or is the afternoon time slot with only 4 games more engaging than the morning time slot with all the games? They're really key, and those late games are so entertaining yet appealing to watch. Is it me?
No, absolutely zero. It is all. It's like the JVs at 1 o'clock.
Oh, great analogy. It feels that way to me too. Yes.
They have this, and I bring up fantasy football because, I look at the numbers and I'm like, the big boys are coming on at 4:00. and that's the way they got it scheduled. I used to have a house full. It didn't matter if the game was in London. The 9:30 games, I'd be like, oh my God, I got to make breakfast and then worry about lunch and dinner for the house.
Right.
And now the 9:30 games, they roll in at around 11. They got their coffee and their muffin.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's playing. The 1:00 games are going on. And then, I make a nice lunch, a nice dinner, appetizers, dessert. And then, the 4:00 games that come on. That's like the full course. I mean,
it is. It's the
pizza.
3 games this week, in the late window. Arizona, Cleveland, must watch. Vegas and Denver, who knows what the hell's going on there, but that's also a game that you kind of got to keep an eye on. Interesting line, obviously going up. I still think Denver wins. Vegas feels like it's a mess. And then you got Dallas, New England, which how do you not want to watch that game? So I think there's going to be it's only 3 games this week with, because the buys have started. And we got that London game still, which again, just for my days in the book, I just can't get into, because I used to have to open the book here in Vegas at 5, which we would open the windows at 5:30 and give people an hour to come bet. We would all be hyped up and nobody would come. Everybody's still sleeping. And then they walk in at their normal time and they're like, oh, I forgot about that game. Like, yeah, I've been here for 3 hours. Like, thanks. You could have bet this all week. You waited to come in now and tell me, oh, I want to bet the halftime. It's a great halftime handle, but there's not much before kickoff. So, all right, I wanted to make sure I wasn't alone in that thinking, because, yeah, that afternoon time slot, that's where hope, the kids' games are in the morning, and then I'll be able to watch the afternoon and then get ready for the baseball Sunday night, ideally, along with – I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna be watching. If there's baseball on, I'm gonna have the Steelers and the Seattle Seahawks on a small screen, just keeping an eye on it. I'll be watching dialed in. Postseason always trumps regular season for me in any sport.
100%. And you talked about hockey, and we didn't even get into hockey. We didn't even get into some college, football. You talked about Kentucky, and the Georgia defense has just been lights out. And you said such a low number. So break down those numbers. You said what, a 46 with a 23. So why bet Kentucky plus 23.5? Probably when their 10 team totals, what, 10.5? If they get to 13, you cover and win. You don't have to sweat it.
Exactly. And that's the new thing, right? Is these team totals and things like that. Yeah, I mean, it's 22 currently, 23 in some places. And 44.5, which again, for those people that don't know, I mean, that's a correlated parlay. You can't even parlay that at most books, side to total in the same game. So if you like Kentucky, you like under. If you like favorite, you like over. And if you have a book that allows you to do it, sneak one in there, see what they say. But yeah, that's another good game. It's kind of a weird week for college, JD, for me, because there's games that involve teams that we're not used to seeing, like in there, other than Georgia. I mean, does Alabama bounce back after getting their butts whooped by Texas A&M? I don't know. You have some SEC matchups like Auburn and Arkansas, interesting game. You have Texas A&M. Do they have a letdown going to Missouri? Big favorite, double-digit favorite on the road. Have they earned that? I don't know. And then you got, the late night stuff. Arizona State, Utah is so engaging of a game. Can't figure it out. And line's telling you it's a pick 'em. It's probably a pick 'em. It's a very tough game. And then the one I think nobody's talking about, because it's an early start Saturday, is Cincinnati laying a huge number against Central Florida. 21.5? Is Cincinnati for real? So again, we can find stuff to talk about every single day. That's the beauty of the sports betting. There's games. There's something that appeals to everybody.
Kentucky team total
10?
9.5.
Woo!
Juiced over 139. What that's telling me is they don't get to 10. That's a 7. They're going to score 3 or 7. That's what that's telling me. When they get that 9.5 juice to 139, they won't even move it to 10. They're like, yep, you like Kentucky? Come on over here. You think they're going to score 10 or more? Just minus 139. That's all it is. Come to the window. We're all set. We'll take that.
That's the number. I mean, 10 is the number. 9.5 with juice over is challenging. You want to bet it over? Go ahead. Bet it over and lay the extra juice because we don't think they're going to score both. That's the thing. When you bet a team total like that, if Kentucky gets down 17-0, 21-0, are they going to kick field goals? Probably not. They have to score touchdowns. So you take away, I mean, that's the odds maker me going, I know why it's 9.5, because they don't think they're going to kick a field goal. They better kick it early and then get a touchdown at some point and get 10. Yeah, it's fascinating, but like that's the beauty of this opening up and having different markets and stuff because, for the longest time, we never had team totals. It was side total, money line. And that was it. First half, game. Now you can bet the quarters, you can bet the halves, you can bet the team totals. It's awesome. But you just got to look at some stuff and attack it a certain way. It's great. As far as the hockey, JD, I'm cautiously just watching most of it.
Okay.
Not even entertaining too many plays because, I'm still doing the numbers. Like yesterday, saw Toronto on the road at Ottawa on a back-to-back, and then I get on the show with Gabe and Cam, and they tell me that the backup goalie's playing. Like, wait a second. How are they 180? This is Ottawa's home opener, and they're starting their number one, who may be the number one. That's still not really sure. But Ottawa was very competitive and brought back the majority of the team. You got them at plus 160 yesterday. So I think the odds makers, I say this all the time, when the sports start, it's your advantage because the numbers only get better. They don't get worse. The numbers get better. So you got to really pick and choose your spots. And I think the books kind of put it up and they willingly accept when markets move. And, nobody knows Squadouche is what I say all the time. But the odds makers don't know it either. So you see line moves, don't read too much into it. You see, you got to kind of have a feel or doing your own numbers is still the best way to attack all this. Or ask you, just sign up for the service and get the email.
I'm going to close with this.
Yes, sir.
Going back down memory lane, opening week, Georgia versus Clemson, and I called you, and actually I was with you. Hey, did you just see Georgia went from 8-1 to 6-1 to win the national title? Why, Dave? Why, Dave? Well, because they probably think that they're going to beat Clemson and they're going to get a lower number. And now look, they're the odds-on favorite to win it all.
Yes, they are. And the number 2 team in the country, Iowa, is not. There's such a disparity, right, between those numbers and odds and things like that. Georgia's damn good. Georgia is damn good, JD. And you mentioned that at the beginning of the season, and I hope people were able to grab it because that gives you options. It doesn't mean you're going to cash it. It just gives you options. Now you are holding, the keys to the car, and you can decide where you want to drive it. It's a great position to be in. I'm really impressed with Georgia. I'm really impressed. Their defense is nasty. They score enough points to win and cover. This week will tell us a lot about not only Kentucky, but about Georgia as well, because I think Kentucky is a pretty good football team, and this is their Super Bowl. This is the biggest game they've had ever. And they go to Kentucky or they go to Georgia and compete. They can. Can they win? I don't think there's a chance in hell.
And it's not being brought up enough, okay? Listen to this 3-week schedule. At home versus Florida, at home versus LSU, now travel between the hedges. Thanks for playing.
Who's that? Kentucky.
They beat Florida. They beat LSU. They don't even have time to breathe. Now they got to go between the hedges.
Oh, boy. Hey, that makes it even a little more impressive, right? That's a pretty good run, although LSU's down. They're not nearly as formidable as they have been. Coach O is he on the hot seat? Maybe. I don't know.
I'm hearing that, yes.
Yeah, I think he's on the hot seat. But, yeah, it's going to be good. I think that's one of the main games I'll have my eye on Saturday.
Tell everyone listening, where they can find you, where they can subscribe to your YouTube station, your podcasts. Let it go. The stage is yours.
Okay, so pretty much it's this. Cash Considerations is the podcast. You can get it, subscribe wherever you get podcasts if you just want to listen. If you like to watch, like me and Jeff are doing right now, you can subscribe right on YouTube. Cash Considerations, search that up on YouTube. Cash Considerations podcast, and whatever comes up, it's there. I do 8 in a Box every week now. That's kind of a Cash Considerations production. Brad Howe and myself. You got to follow Brad at Brad Howe 07. Great dude, just like one of us, JD. Get into space, was an athletic director at West Virginia, associate athletic director for 20 years. Knows the game, knows knows all the stuff. Great entertainer, just talking back and forth. We do that show every day, Monday through Friday. I'm on Sports Grid and Sirius XM 204 from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock Pacific. That's 7 to 10 Eastern. We do in-game live, talk about the games, talk about the lines, and maybe make a play here, hold off here, watch what's happening. It's just like me and you sitting in the book, having lunch. It's great. And then, amongst the other appearances, I mean, the MLB Network has been fascinating, fun. I do a show called The Bettor's Eye with Keith Irizarry and Matt Stryker on there, where we, get to wear a hat, get to wear a jersey, and talk about baseball. And it's just like, I feel like I'm in the Field of Dreams. I'm like, it's just great. Yes, let's talk about baseball. And they talk props and they talk all this stuff. And I just look at them and say, I agree or disagree. It's so much fun. So it's all there. And you can follow along at Sports BK Consig for Sportsbook Conciliary on Twitter. That's where all the appearances, all the links, all the stuff. And we interact on there as well with a lot of people from all over the world. It's a lot of fun. Don't take it too serious. And definitely, if you're going to be a troll somebody else. We ain't got time for that stuff.
I can't. I'm speechless. I can't be happier. What a way to start the weekend. What a show. We could, again, we just touch and scratch the surface. It's going to be an amazing weekend. MLB Final Four, college, like you said, there's a lot of dangerous spots in college. We're overdue for one of those weekends when 2 or 3 of these undefeated teams go down. It could be this weekend. Let down spots everywhere. NFL, another game in London. Like you said, the 1 o'clocks and then the 4 o'clocks. Make sure you're back home for the 4 o'clocks.
Yes,
and you'll get game 1. It'd be game 2. I think Braves and Dodgers.
2.
Can't thank you enough. Look forward to talking to you soon. Maybe we can steal you for next week sometime. If not, I'll get to your agent, your secretary, the kids, and then eventually, at some point,
you get right to the kids. That if you get to the kids, they're on Twitter now too. They're starting to see what's happening, so they're getting on Twitter. They're starting to see who we're talking to and stuff, and they know you because they met you. You get to the kids, you get to me. That's all you got to do. That's the key. Forget the agent, forget the secretary. You can even forget the wife. That ain't gonna work. You get to them girls, you get to me. That's it.
Anyone wagering today in investing, always wager with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, pick up that phone. There's an 800 number right there. Why? Because we care. And always, stay in your lanes. It's a marathon, not a sprint. If you need a new pair of Nikes, run down to your sports store and grab them. From myself, Jeff Dawson, Dave Sharapan, we wish you the best of luck today, this weekend, and hopefully next week. We will see you soon.